You know, I've had crazy pickups, crazy yard sale finds, all sorts of great flea market finds in my life. But today's something kind of special. Today, I scored a JVC X'Eye. So what is the JVC X'Eye? Well, the JVC X'Eye is a Sega CD and Genesis combination console that came out, well, from JVC. If you haven't heard of one, it's probably because they only made about 10,000 of them, and at the time, they cost a whopping $500. And I know people are complaining about a $500 price tag on maybe a PS5 right now, but just imagine buying one of these for $500 back in the 90s. The JVC X'Eye has, of course, the cartridge slot for Genesis, and over here has the CD tray for the Sega CD. It does work with the 32X, however, the 32X add-on basically overlays the CD drive, so for some people that's kind of inconvenient, so a lot of people aren't going to use it. It does not work with a power-based converter because of the lip on the back catches the back here, so it's kind of here and there when it gets to compatibility. Also, the power and reset buttons are quite large and very bright, easy to press, and on the front you will see a couple of Genesis ports for controllers. Looking at the back, you actually have some pretty nice options. You have regular old composite out, which is cool because you can use any cable, you don't have to have anything special, but it also has the AV cable that the Genesis is known for. Thing to note is it also outputs RGB just like the Genesis, so it's really great if you're using a SCART cable through a FrameMeister or an OSSC. One thing that does stink is you can see right here this kind of circle. That's because the original version of this console came from Japan and it was called the Wonder Mega, and it originally had S-Video. They removed that in America and it is kind of a bummer. There's also the power cord, of course, but there's one more very cool thing off to the side. If you look off to the side, you will see a headphone jack and a mic area. Now, the reason for this is this actually uses the CD Gs, which let you play basically karaoke. And that's what this was mainly used for in Japan. I mentioned just a second ago about the Wonder Mega. The Wonder Mega is what this originally was called in Japan. There were two models. The first one basically had a motorized CD drive, which is really great, but the second one had like an infrared controller, which is really cool, and that's kind of what this model is based off of. Now, the big thing over there was the karaoke feature. It did, like I said, they brought it over here with these ports, but it was much, much bigger in Japan. Another weird thing about mine specifically is if you look at it, it's very glossy and shiny, and I mean, just like it looks like pretty wild. They don't look like this. They're actually more of a matte color. In fact, the JVC X'Eyes have their own custom Sega controllers, and I have one right here. And this is what the console looks like. It's kind of this, where Sega's kind of black, it's hard to kind of see, but it's a kind of a lighter blue. And of course it says JVC on it. That is what this console is supposed to look like. So I don't know if someone custom painted this, or if someone, like, I don't know, did some kind of crazy polish job to it. I have no idea. But still, I'm very glad to have this in my collection, and I got it for a very, very cheap price. But let's kind of see how it runs and see how it what it does in relationship to some games. So when you want to play a cartridge game, you just put it in, because like the Sega CD, if you don't, it'll actually give you a different screen. So this is what it looks like running some Sonic. As expected, it runs Sega games perfectly well. The only difference between this and a regular Genesis is just really its form factor. Although the real difference, the real cool thing about this comes into play when you're actually playing the Sega CD. Now, the thing that's cool about this is you pop your old disc in, boom, it's like normal. Now, the thing that's wild about it though is, just listen for a second. You absolutely can't hear anything. That is like very abnormal. If you have a Sega CD, I'm not saying Sega CD is very noisy, but definitely has some noise to it. This is completely silent, and that is a very awesome advantage of the JVC X'Eye. The first thing you're going to notice, if you're used to a Sega CD, you're used to having that really cool kind of Sega screen while you're waiting for a game to load. This one has this really neat JVC screen, and I definitely like it. So, one other thing I really kind of wanted to mention before I wrap up this video is playing Sega CD games. If you played Sega CD, you know the console itself has memory in it. However, the memory is kind of a little hit or miss. Sometimes you have to clear stuff, clear the RAM, what have you, if you want to play a game. In fact, they even made a Sega memory backup cartridge, which is, you know, pretty nice if you have a Sega CD. But and this might just be me so far, but so far I have not had to do that at all with this console. And I've actually played a few different games and made a few different saves. Sonic CD for me in the past has notoriously been one that needed a little bit more room, so I'd pretty much always have to plug in that cartridge. And on the JVC X'Eye, I did not have that problem. So it's one of those weird kind of cool consoles, and if you can, you know, get lucky like me and find one in a weird spot, definitely pick one up. So that's the JVC X'Eye. Like I said, mine's kind of weird, kind of custom done. I don't quite know why that is. I have seen a couple others on the internet that look like that. Very weird, very strange. But you know, what do you guys think? Is the JVC X'Eye something you've even heard of before? And if you have you even played one? Because they're pretty cool. So you know, drop what you think in the comments below about this weird pickup, and you know, just tell me generally what you think of the dang thing. That's gonna do it for us today. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with me. I love making videos with you guys. You know, if you guys have any cool things to say, please drop them in the comments, and you know, like, subscribe if you haven't. And as always, take it easy.